Namato Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zim, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Tuesday, the 10th of November. This is Achan Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. As usual, I'm here with you all tonight. And thank you everyone for joining me on this Facebook Dhamma Talk, which is an ongoing talk that I have started from early April, since the first lockdown. And over the period of a time, people joined from different parts of the world, not only in Aberdeen or in Scotland, but also England, Europe, and in Asia and America. Hello, good evening, Yvonne. Good evening, Margaret, Manisha, Karina, Satyendra, everyone. So welcome to this ongoing Dhamma Talk session. So life is uncertain, that we never know what is going to happen and what is going to be. And as a result of that, we have to take every opportunities to learn, to develop, and to gain the happiness, not just the worldly happiness, but the ultimate happiness of a Nibbana. And there's always changes taking place. Nothing that remains the same. So when we talk about the Buddha's teachings, and particularly if we really want to comprehend his teachings, then we have to understand the nature of change. And the very moment when we understand the nature of a change as such as it is, as in the natural way, and that ends the study, that ends the journey. So from ignorance to the knowledge. So that's why the teachings of the Buddha is something that we have to test ourselves. We have to investigate ourselves. Not just on the books or not just on the theories, but also put it into practice and test yourself whether that's true or not. And obviously, when you have an opportunity to listen to Dhammas or a guidance, it is very important that you have undivided attention is there and you are listening until the end of the stories. Otherwise, if mind is distracted towards the job, towards the family, towards the friends, and this divided attention is there to listen, then you will not be able to comprehend the teachings at all. And it will be not just wasting your time, but also wasting the knowledge that you are supposed to be gaining. And this is the reason behind there are plenty of members or the people. They know that there is it's a opportunity to practice meditation and learn about the meditation and listen the teachings, and yet they have many excuses that, oh, I have this job to do, I have that job to do, and with this they again always excuse after excuse, saying that tomorrow I will do, tomorrow I will do, and tomorrow never comes. So anything that you think that is beneficial and conducive, then you should practice immediately. Otherwise, despite of having an opportunity to learn and yet you cannot comprehend it. And there is a story comes in the scripture that after the Buddha gave the first discourse of the first discourse to the 5 ascetics at that time, there were other celestial beings also listening the talk. And there was a particular celestial being, he was present at the time when the Buddha was giving teachings. And when he was listening the Buddha's teachings, he felt that this is a wonderful teaching. It's really makes sense, and it's really good that everyone should hear. And everyone should gain the knowledge and the fruit out of it. Because it's very difficult to have a Buddha, such as a Buddha, who is a knowledgeable one, to give a Dhamma talk and give us a guidance. So with that thought, he thought of his good friend who weren't there at that time. So when he had this thought of his friend should have been here and listening the talk, his mind was distracted. And I believe among you are who are listening this talk that I'm giving, again, there will be people thinking that, oh, I have something others to do, or I have to go and fetch my daughters, or fetch my food, or catch up with the telly. Then again, you will give up listening. And that was similarly, sometimes you may have a thought of like, oh, I should call my friend to discuss about tomorrow's parties, like that. Similarly, this celestial being had this thought that wish my friend is here to listen this talk and will get a benefit. And he wandered around to find out his friend around. So as a result, he missed the teachings of the Buddha. And he left the place in search of his friend. Meanwhile, having seen that the whole nature was blossom and every flowers were just beautifully blossoms around in the Himalayas, his friend had a thought of inviting this friend who was listening the talk to go and get a celebration or celebrate the spring, kind of. So one friend is looking for his friend simply to invite and listen the talk, and another friend, he is simply thinking that the day is beautiful and should invite my friend for the celebration. And both come to meet each other. And here we have plenty of stories about it. Whenever there is a sunshine, we have a thought of a celebration. When there is a beautiful day, and we have a thought of a celebration, inviting friends for the barbecues or a pint of beers in sunbathing, like that. Similarly, in this way, his friend was like that, thinking of inviting friend to listen to talk. And who do you think win between friend who is inviting his friend to come and listen to talk, or someone, the friend who is inviting him for the parties? Now, suppose you're listening a talk here, and you may think that, oh, Ajahn Sujan gives a good talk about the teachings, and I can relate to me, and I can relate to my practice, and I can relate to my daily routines. So I hope that my friend listen this, so I share it, and also I call them to listen it. And similarly, another friend is having a thought, oh, this is a beautiful night, and I would like to have a party with my friends. So he again or she again text saying that, oh, do you have a time, and why don't you come to party? Who do you think will go to the party and listening, or the listening the talk? I believe that majority will be turning towards the party. But here in this case, when the Hemavata, the celestial being, when he spoke to his friend Satagiri, they had a conversation that about the Buddha, and Hemavata said, Satagiri said to the Hemavata, or the one celestial being, Sata says to the Hema that, oh, I just was listening the teachings of the Buddha, and I found that so fascinating and so profound, and it's very difficult to listen the teachings on this Four Noble Truth and Eightfold Noble Path. You should have been here and listening the teacher's teachings. And in that moment when he was having a talk, friendly talk with his friend, there was a lady who was just in the house waiting, or just opened her windows and heard the conversation between these two celestial beings and realized that this is not a simple discussion. And with that, she put undivided attention to listen their conversation. And with that, listening attentively, the scripture says that she was able to attain the first noblehood, the stream enterer, the Sotapanna. And I was just a simple discussion between two celestial beings about the Buddha's qualities and his teachings. And for us, I always reflect that we have read and we have heard so many teachings, teachings after teachings, and why we can't be liberated. And I think one of the factors that we can't be liberated because our attention on the listening is not good enough yet. And as a result of that, we don't have a concentrated mind. And because of not having a concentrated mind, we don't have confidence on the teachings, and because of a lack of a confidence, we don't have a faith on this teaching or a practice. And when there is no concentration, no confidence and faith, then it will be very difficult to get the insight or the wisdom out of this listening. So that's why it is very important to have undivided attention when you are learning something. And not only hearing it, but we also have to put it into practice. And the discussion was that when the Hema asked the Satagiri or both having a discussion, and they said, one of them asked that, did the Buddha have a controlled mind? And his friend said that he is well controlled and he would not divide beings from one another. He is an Arahant. So Arahant basically means worthy of a veneration. And the question comes, why the Buddha was worthy of veneration? And the reason simply behind of that veneration is that he had a compassion towards all sentient beings, regardless of their ethnicity, their nationality, or their beliefs. Because Buddha didn't say that only Buddhists can liberate by listening to Buddha's teachings. It's not like other faith and a religion that teaches that in order to be liberated or in order to be with so-called Atman or the God, you have to follow their religion or their faith, and only then you will be liberated. Otherwise, you won't. You have no chance at all. Which is completely different in Buddha's teachings, that it's up to you. Whatever you do, it matters. If you do good, and you will have a good results. Or if you do bad, you will have a bad results. The liberation is entirely on your hand, and as a result, Buddha didn't discriminate between the people. Everyone has got the rights to study. Everyone has got the rights to improve themselves according to the wholesome deeds, and with that they can be liberated. So that's why it's not secluded or exclusion any beings like other faith does, and which has been another beauty of the Buddha's teachings, that it's welcoming everyone who has got the ear or faith and confidence to hear the teaching, so that they can practice in their lives and be free from all this anxiety, stress and problems. And not only that, but also the cycle of the birth and the death, that one has to come back again and again in this samsara. Whereas if you look at the other faiths, always emphasize that in order to be free yourself, or in order to be liberated, or get this the liberation, you always have to follow or be religious in that particular denomination. Whereas in Buddhism, you don't have to. As long as you have understood the teachings and then you have fully enlightened, then you become the Buddhists. There are plenty of stories in the scripture recorded that people become enlightened not by hearing Buddha's teachings, not by hearing monks' teaching, but hearing someone is simply talking one another and reflected. By reflection, they become an arahant, novel ones. Like the earlier on, the lady who was listening the two celestial beings' conversation about the Buddha. Similarly, there is another story, the Kuzutara, who was a slave to the Queen Mallika at that time, and somehow after hearing the teachings of the Buddha, she converted herself to be a good. From early on she used to cheat, but now she's not cheating, but become a devout and a true follower. And with that, the Queen Mallika, she was surprised to see how she changed within a few words. And with that, this Kuzutara, a slave, went to listen the talk, and then comes back to the palace to teach or rephrase the teachings of the Buddha to the Queen Mallika. And after hearing her own slaves' guidance, Queen Mallika got the Dhamma eye. So that's how she was developing her insight. Likewise, there are other members of the community in those days have heard the teachings of the Buddha despite of a meeting with the monks or the Buddha, but they were able to be enlightened. So that's why Buddha never said that, come to believe me and I will liberate you. Not like any other faith saying that you believe me and then I will liberate you. You bow to me, I will liberate you. You worship me, I will liberate you, like that. Buddha never say that, believe me and I will liberate you. There is a story again, when his father, King Suddhodana, asked for the blessings. And then the Buddha said that I can't bless you. Then his father requested, then I would like to request you. Then at that time the Buddha simply accepted that, okay, what is your request? Like that. So because he was simply a pathfinder, he himself told himself, saying that Akhataro Tathagata, I am simply a pathfinder and I give you this path. It's up to you to walk on this path, and then it's entirely up to your judgment that whether you want to follow this path or not. And that's why Buddha said that the teaching is ehipassiko, come and see. But he didn't say that come and believe, or he didn't say that believe me, I will save you. So that's why the Buddha's teachings is such a beauty that we have to remember that whenever we have an opportunity to hear the teachings of the Buddha, we should pay undivided attention and listen carefully. What are the teachings of the Buddha? And if we have take on board those teachings, again, not just the listening and making a notes is enough. Buddha said that after you have listened the teachings, or you may have make a notes of those teachings, remember to practice as well. Put it into practice, whether that worth practicing or not, whether that makes sense or not. And after you have investigated through your own practice, then you realize that this is worth practicing. So this is what the Buddha's teachings is about, that it is the teaching has given us entirely up to our own judgment and our own understanding. That's why it's a very scientific, in a modern term, it's a very scientific discourses or scientific teachings that one can take it on board and investigate it. And with that investigation, we ourselves become a scientist of our own self. And it's all down to each and individual's consciousness, that how much we are conscious and how much are we in living in the delusional world. The more we are living in the delusional world, our consciousness becomes thicker and thicker, and the misunderstanding about ourselves, misunderstanding about the world, misunderstanding about the things generate more and more, and we simply become more miserable, and we will not be able to see beauty in our life, that how precious this life is, and in the meantime how short we have this life. And rather than learning about this life, rather than enjoying this life, rather than accumulating the good merits for this life and the following lives, people spend much time thinking about the negative, causing more miseries towards themselves. So it's up to us to find the ways, to find the right balance, and going and thinking more in a positive way. The more you think of a positive, the more you try to live positively, everything becomes perfect. The way we behave, the way we think, the way we see, everything becomes perfect. But all what we need is the undivided attention towards the study, towards the listening, and towards the practice. And with that undivided attention that we have invested in these teachings, and all the knowledge that we have acquired, we can put it into practice without having any difficulties. Because if we are not listening carefully, the instructions may fall off, and you cannot continue, or you cannot tuning in. So, making sure that we have put the undivided attention while we are studying or listening the talks, or do not have any distraction, whether it is about the family, whether it is about the jobs, or whether it is about the friends. This time is a time for yourself to learn for yourself. And once you have established good, wholesome, according to the Dhamma, then gradually, then you don't have to think of changing anybody else, or you don't have to learn, and you don't have to think of teaching others. Your behavior, your attitude, your understanding will change their understanding too, and which I have seen a lot, because over the period of a time of living here in Scotland, when I came, there are plenty of people dislike me, plenty of people misjudged me, but because I'm living according to the Dhamma, and gradually people have accepted, and in the meantime this Dhamma is helping so many other people out there. So it is up to us, and then that will help the rest of others to realize and find the happiness and ability to solve the problems in their lives. So I will close here for tonight by saying that whatever you do, knowing that if this is an opportunity, then put a lot of effort, listen attentively, and then investigate, put it into practice, and get benefit for yourself, for others, and for all beings. May you all be well and happy. May all beings be free from this cycle of a birth and a death. So, thank you everyone for listening, and in a few moments time we're going to have an evening chanting and guided meditation. You're most welcome to join with us. Meanwhile, whatever questions you may have, if you want to know, then you can also text me and I will answer, or I will reply as soon as possible. So thank you Yvonne, Margaret, Prani, John, Simon, and everyone. Thank you. We'll see you shortly for the chanting and guided meditation.